let's go ahead and get started with the study session.
All right. Well, thank you, Chair Burton, and commissioners. All of you have joined us, and some staff. Doesn't look like we have any public joining us for your study session, but welcome to your study session today. And we would like to start off with, in order, the items, 5 of them, that we anticipate being on your public hearing schedule next month in June. So Bob is actually presenting all of these to you. So Bob, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and take the commissioners through items 1 through 5 of the potential agenda items for next month's hearing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McNeely. Did you want to introduce our new planner?
Yeah, we could do that now, sure. So Planning and Zoning Commissioners, we are very excited to introduce to you our newest staff member, our newest planner, Sophie Koza. She's with us. So Sophie, if you wanted to, well, now I don't see her, Bob.
She's on there. I see her picture. I mean, I see her video.
Oh, there she. Well, yeah, okay. I was looking for the initials. Please, commissioners, welcome Sophie to the staff. Sophie comes to us from Pennsylvania by way of Colorado, so it wasn't too far. But this is her first week. She started with us on Monday, and we are getting her trained. Sophie is a planner. She has planning education. As a matter of fact, I believe, Sophie, you are an AICP candidate, right? That you are in the process of obtaining your AICP certification. So Sophie, go ahead and take a second to introduce yourselves and tell the commissioners what you would like to about yourself.
Sure. So, hi, everyone. As Jess said, I'm Sophie. I grew up and I went to school in Pennsylvania, and I spent the last year in Gunnison, Colorado, serving as an AmeriCorps member doing food security. And yeah, so I moved here last weekend, and I'm really excited to join the county, especially after learning how diverse the geography is and everything, and how that affects our work as planners. So I'm looking forward to meeting you all.
Well, let me welcome you, Sophie, on behalf of the commission. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sophie. Did you learn about the diverse geography this week or prior to taking the job?
A little bit prior to taking the job, but
okay, good.
A lot more this week.
Better than me as a commissioner then. I think I didn't really figure it out until until after the fact.
All right. Thanks, Sophie. And I wish you could have been with us last week for your lunch and your joint work session with the Board of Supervisors, but we do have an opportunity this Friday for those of you who will be in person at the joint city-county work session on the Flagstaff Regional Plan. We will try to get Sophie over there to where, at least on a break or something, you all could meet her in person.
Great. Hey, Jess, do you know about the computer ability of that room? Is it worth it to take a laptop?
That's a great question. Commissioner Best, I have used the Wi-Fi in that room numerous times, so I think it works pretty well. And if you were wanting to say, be looking at the agenda or the items that we are going over in that work session from your laptop, I'd encourage you to do so.
Yeah. All day session, I might run out of battery. I did ask for a hard copy too, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right. We will try to accommodate all of those things.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, with that, we're jumping around on our agenda, but Bob, if you would please orient the commissioners to the public hearing items for next month.
Okay, thanks, Jess, and good afternoon, commissioners. This first case is the Tuscana RV as a residence. That's CP 2513. And in this case, the applicant is Julian Toscano from Buckeye. The property is on Wilshire Drive over in Red Lake, and it's in the AR1 zone. It's a 1 acre parcel. And the request is use an RV as a permanent residence. So this is a vicinity map showing the subject property. This is the commercial area, the largest commercial area in Red Lake. This is where the KOA is, and there's a convenience store here, and it's right over here in this zone, in this AR zone, right, AR1 zone. And this is the subject property. Has a road going along the front of the property. It's about 1 level from the highway over here on this side. And it has quite a bit of vegetation, it looks like. And this is a site plan showing the driveway coming in and where the fifth wheel would go, the RV would go. And that is pretty much it. Any questions on this one?
It doesn't, oh, yep, Commissioner Leslie.
Looks like you're muted, Commissioner Leslie.
Not muted. Looks like your
Yeah,
microphone.
not muted. Yeah, you might check your microphone setting. Yeah, we are still not hearing you. There should be a microphone icon at the top of your window, right next to the camera icon. There's a little drop down button next to it. If you drop that down, you may be able to select a different microphone, or yeah, you may have an option there on a microphone. And of course, you could use the chat if you'd like to put a question in there. Glad we can use study session to prep our technology for the hearing.
All right, Commissioner Leslie, you might have to exit the meeting and rejoin to get the microphone to work. Well, he can definitely hear us, so
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yep. Well, Bob, maybe in the interest of time, you could jump on to item 2, and we will wait for Commissioner, and then just be going through that. When Commissioner Leslie returns, then we can address his question.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. And we can get back to it, the question in a minute. Okay, this is the second item. It is the ASU radio astronomy antennas, that's CEP 2515. And this will be covered by Zach Schwartz at the hearing next month. So this is a proposal to install 64 antennas in their radio telescopes, basically, or radio antennas. And they are located just a little bit north of Meteor Crater. Meteor Crater is right down this area, and you can see the basic placement of it right here. They have a couple of relay antennas, and there is a 20-foot one here that would relay signals over here to the I-40 area, I-40 railroad area. It's a 35-foot tower, and that's where they get their signal down to ASU campus. So there's some details about this particular case. They want to install approximately 64 5-foot antennas within a fenced area. There would also be a 40-foot shipping container, and that would be an equipment building for the project. And there would be one 20-foot relay tower. These are lattice towers. And then there'd be another 35-foot tall relay tower, also lattice tower, out on the interstate, as I showed before. And basically would be unmanned with everything operated from ASU campus in Tempe. This shows the subject property. You can see Meteor Crater Road coming down. And then this roadway, I believe it says about 0.7 miles over to here. This is a 10-acre site. This is a really large parcel. As you know, it's on Crater Ranch. So the lease area they're using is about 10 acres, something like that. And then it looks like this relay tower is going to be off. There'll be an underground line that goes out to the relay tower out here. And this shows the property again, this lease area on the property. The circular area would be where they would install those 64 low height passive radio astronomy antennas. So they're like 5 feet off the ground. And there are also some additional antennas that they're placing in these locations. And then this is where the 40-foot container would go. And this is rendition, basically elevations of the antennas. They of course are driven into the ground. They go about 5 feet above, and they're 89.9 inches. I think it's about 7 or 8 feet across. And this is a similar project in New Mexico, so it kind of shows you how it will look. Obviously, not a lot of impact to a project like this, but good for astronomy research. This is elevations of the storage of the container. That would be the equipment container. And these are the towers. So this is the 20-foot one up here. They're lattice towers. And this is the 35-foot one that would be out by the interstate. So some staff considerations, they are putting wildlife-friendly fencing around the project, and there aren't any wildlife impacts that would be anticipated. And basically not very much minimal, there'd be minimal visual impacts as well, any kind of impacts. Even the tower that's out on the interstate, I believe some of the power poles out there are taller than 35 feet, so shouldn't be very many impacts on this. And with that, any questions from the commission?
I'm not seeing any.
Chair Burton, I see
Yeah.
that Larry Leslie has joined us, so we might ask what if he now has a mic working, what his question was on the previous case.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Leslie.
Can you hear me okay now?
We can hear
Perfect.
you now.
Okay, thank you for the time. My first question, going back to the first case, was, are there any POA or HOA rules that we need to be concerned with an RV? Okay, very good.
No, my parents live in that neighborhood, so I kind of am familiar with it. I think
Okay, very good.
I would assume that, it's just the immediate neighbors. If we hear from them, then they're the ones that I think should be able to decide that decision. So,
Okay.
And we
Well, thank
generally
you.
ask that question, although it's not within, the county's purview, our jurisdiction, whatever kind of POA they have, but we generally ask that question as to whether they have checked with the POA before they do this.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Best, you have your hand raised.
Are we back to the other case?
We can be, yes.
How fun. What does it look like out on the highway? That would be more my concern than a few miles off the highway.
We did not require photo sims for this because it didn't seem like it was very impactful, being only 35 feet, and I believe it's quite a bit of grade separation from the highway.
Okay.
But just I think those elevations show you what it's going to look like. It's going to be down. It's going to be across the railroad on the other side of the railroad track, away from the highway, and so I think it's not going to be super visible down there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Best.
Any other questions? All right, I'm not seeing any. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
Okay. Okay, this case is the Gesslinger RV as a residence, CUP 2507. And in this case, the owner is Eric Gesslinger, Flagstaff. The applicant is Steve Sorden. Property is located at an ancient trail in Kachina Village, and the zoning is AR1 agricultural, 1 acre minimum parcel size. And the request is to use a park model RV as a permanent residence on a 0.2 acre parcel. And sorry, that was almost like 20, but there's a dot right there. So it's a 0.2 acre parcel in the AR zone. That's a fifth of an acre. So in Kachina Village, I'll bring up a map in a minute, but in Kachina Village, there are quite a few of these. And this is actually part of a subdivision that was platted, I believe I saw it in 1969. So the zoning likely came later after the subdivision. This one does have water, sewer, and electricity. They're all available on the site. That's not really normal for these. This is in KVID, Kachina Village Improvement District. So it does have those available. And I just want to remind the commission that RVs as permanent residence may be approved in the AR zone with approval of the CUP, of course. And it does not specify, this section of the code does not specify the size of the lot. And also I want to remind the commission that manufactured homes are also permitted in this zone, and they're permitted by right without a CUP. So this is a vicinity map showing Kachina Village in the subject property. You can see it down here. All of this yellow is in the AR zone. So you can see there's quite a bit of it. And then just right to one parcel to the west, you get into some odd shaped parcels in the general zone, which are supposed to be 10 acres in size, and these aren't really anywhere near that. So it's kind of, there are a few legal non-conforming parcels in this area and in many areas of the county. And this is an aerial photo showing the parcel, subject parcel. Obviously out here in Kachina, there's not a lot of trees sometimes. You can't really see much on the ground. It is, I believe there are developed parcels pretty much all around it. This is kind of a rare vacant parcel right now. This is a site plan showing the subject property, and it's just, it's a basic site plan showing where the utilities are coming in and everything. So it's very similar to site plans we get for single families. And this is the structure, the park model RV. So just for a little clarity, RV as a residence does allow park models as long as they have a certain kind of stamp on them. They can be processed in this way. They're not manufactured homes. They have a different certification than manufactured homes. Manufactured homes are certified by HUD, and RVs like this, park models and other RVs, are certified either by REVA or by ANSI. This is an ANSI certified RV, a park model RV in this case. So this is another photo showing what it would look like. And not that we're super interested in the inside, but this is what it looks like on the inside. And then this is the layout. So with park model RVs, by definition, they are less than 400 square feet. So a lot of them are literally 399 square feet. This one is 385 square feet. I believe, I can clarify this later, but I believe this is a man that wants to retire, and this is his retirement home, or his planned retirement home. So as you can see, it has a queen size bed in the back, full bath, and kitchen and living area. And with that, I'll take any questions from the commission.
Yeah, so this one, there aren't RVs being used as permanent residents, at least not legally in Kachina. This is a very densely populated area, in my opinion. So, and there are some very opinionated neighbors in this particular vicinity. So I'm just going to give you a heads up on that, because 2 properties over, I believe our enforcement person received multiple calls for some RVs people thought were being lived in. So the immediate neighbors, one's a manufactured and one's a stick-built home, and they are right on top. All these lots, they're all right on top of each other. So this is likely an uphill battle. And the only way this is a slippery slope. I understand it's a park model, but opening up to allowing RVs, just that category in Kachina, I'm not liking. And if I'm to get on board with this, you cannot tell it's an RV. That's gonna be the only way it's gonna fly with the neighbors, and the only way it's gonna fly with me. I'm just putting that out there now. So I do have a question on, so the owner is a different person than the applicant. Do we know why that is?
Yes, he's just working with the applicant, to help him get through the process. It happens quite a bit, as you probably know. You'll have someone come along, that's either a builder or has some knowledge of development, and they'll be hired to help people work their way through the process.
Okay, so the applicant is just someone who's working on behalf of the
Exactly
owner
right.
to try and get. Okay,
What I'm saying.
I was just curious if it was, someone was renting the lot for somebody else to be able to park on. That was the only thing that came through my mind. It looks like Commissioner Best has a question.
Thank you. Remind me, excuse me, I don't think these need wheels on, is that correct? And is there skirting?
Commissioner Best, no, the wheels would not be left on. There wouldn't be skirting, or there would be skirting. It would be closed underneath. You wouldn't be able to see the wheels. And of course, that's something that could be conditioned as well. But from the looks of this picture, it doesn't appear that would be it. That would be the way they would do it. It's meant to be, the park model RVs get set and they stay there for decades sometimes. So if you go down to Munns Park, those are all park model RVs you see along there. And once they're set, no one wants to move them again. So that's pretty common.
So they're not required to have skirting, but it could be conditioned.
Yeah, I don't know of any. We don't have a requirement for skirting in this section because, as you know, most of these RVs are kind of like the last one we saw just a few minutes ago. They're out on 1 acre lots in Red Lake or KUW or a valley, and they don't skirt. They don't always skirt those. No, definitely could be conditioned, no doubt.
Yeah, it sounds like the applicant needs to be a good neighbor, so that we don't have a room full of folks. So I'll leave that up to who's ever communicating with him.
Yeah, and I'll just say they've been through the citizen participation process, and yes, there were some neighbors that were opposed to it. So yeah, we've definitely heard from neighbors, as Madam Chair has indicated. We probably would.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Best.
Commissioner Berger.
So I guess if this is going to be a retirement, it's not going to be if he can come to the plate and say it's not going to be an Airbnb and they're not going to throw parties. And if it's legal as being a park model, then other than that, I'm not sure what the neighbors can deny the use for, except they just don't like change.
Yeah, and I should remind the commissioners, Commissioner Berger and the commissioners, that we have a short-term rental ordinance that prohibits these RVs from being used as short-term rentals. So that would not be legal.
But what I mean is he's retired, right? So this is going to be a retirement home.
Right.
He's not planning on living or having parties or.
Mr. Berger, that's correct, and I'll verify that. Although I don't know if that's something the commission really could consider, but that was my understanding from talking to the applicant. And these are here the thing that we hear all the time that gets mixed up at the county. Mr. McNeely, that hears this all the time, just like I do. They call these tiny homes. They're not tiny homes. A tiny home actually that's built according to the building code standards, that would be in the IRC, the International Residential Code 2018. There's an appendix in there that tells you how you can build a tiny home, and those are actually considered single-family dwellings, and they could be put on properties like this. But these aren't built to that standard. They're not as nicely constructed. I mean, they're not as solid, but that's another consideration.
Yep.
Right.
Correct, Bob. The code that they are built to for insulation, for structure, for electrical and plumbing, it's the same code that a camping trailer is built to. Hence by code they are an RV. That's the code they're built to. So it is not as substantial as a dwelling that is built to a residential code.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think I understand that. I just can see, I suppose, the neighbors looking at it as something lesser than a tiny home or lesser than a structure. I guess we're going to probably come up against this a lot more from my understanding, and probably just based on cost as well. Is it fire coded? I assume.
It's whatever fire code is the same for RVs, for recreational vehicles.
But it is allowed in the zone.
There's some level of fire code. Absolutely. It's a standardized code. But again, all of it is, and of course, manufactured homes are their own code. That's actually the HUD code established by Housing and Urban Development Federal Code. So manufactured homes are a step up in code from a park model RV. And of course, manufactured homes also are not to the same level of code as a site-built home, which would be to the county IRC code.
Okay, thanks for that, Jess.
And they have, they provided a pretty extensive housing specifications that I'll include in the package, so you can look at how exactly it's certified and what that means.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Commissioner Berger.
I have one quick question for you, Mr. Short. So I know we can't discuss this because this is just like a Q&A for the session. So we're not gonna go there. But I do have a question on if we're requiring any kind of additional buffering for fire. Because as I mentioned, these are on top of each other. The neighbors are. And if we're not seeing the same fire standards, are we requiring anything additional to be done on the lot to protect the community should RV fires are kind of not uncommon. So are we putting any extra requirements in there as far as buffer zones and, fire suppression requirements and things like that?
I don't know of anything that we would be adding to this. It's like any other RV as a residence. I think the commission could add conditions to that effect. I'll let Mr. McNeely comment on that if he has anything else.
I think, the common performance standards of the zoning ordinance are setbacks and screening fences. So we can't jump into requiring a higher building code that this was built to, because that's now we're out of the zoning ordinance and into building code, or potentially into a fire code, which is in this area is regulated by the state under the state fire code. So I get the consideration that these are not as the RV code is not the same, is not as high of a standard as the residential code. So the only buffering that really could be a part of the CUP, the conditional use permit, would be something to do with the site, setbacks on the site, improvements of the site, screening of the site. Those could obviously be considerations for conditions for a CUP.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
for example, like mitigation, like fire mitigation standards, like trimming the trees up, cutting some trees away from the side of the building, maybe.
And that was my question is if we were asking for any additional consideration on the site itself. Obviously, we're not going to change the building. So it was more on the physical site because it is a densely treed space. Okay. Commissioner Best.
Thank you. I don't think a landscape plan would be required, but that might help us to understand fire mitigation issues and just give the neighbors a little more confidence in what is going to be produced here. So I don't quite know where that leaves the Mr. Short, whether he wants to suggest that to the applicant. Am I correct that we don't require a landscape plan with this type of application?
Yeah, landscape plans are not required for residential development. However, we're all familiar with some good buffer standards to say what is a clear buffer of combustible material surrounding a building. That can be a part of your landscape plan if you were a commercial development and required a landscape plan. But that would be an easy condition to say require a cleared buffer zone surrounding the unit of combustible material.
Yeah, and also a skirting system that is reasonably fireproof, because of course, if any fire gets under the structure, it's gone in a poof. Okay, well, I think we brought up a lot of issues that the applicant can address. So, thanks.
Commissioner Williams, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just had a question. Are single wides or double wides allowed in this part of Kachina?
Commissioner Williams, yes, they are. So this is AR zone, and manufactured homes are allowed in this area. I think I was looking at a street view and there was one like right next door, I believe.
I mean, I know there are a bunch in Kachina, so I just didn't know if it was different areas had different things. All right, thanks.
All right, Commissioner Best, your hand's still up. I'm guessing you just forgot to put it down.
You know me too well.
Okay, I think we beat this one over the head. So let's go ahead and move on to the next case.
Okay, commissioners, this is another one in Kachina Village. This one is Martin Zone Change and Design Review. It's ZC 2502 and DRO 2502. In this case, the applicant is Talia Martin, along with, actually the property owner is Talia Martin, along with her son, Marcus Martin, who is the applicant. And the location's at 2838 Kona Trail in Kachina. The zoning's RS 6000, that's RS residential single family, 6,000 square foot minimum parcel size. And the size of this parcel is 0.58 acres. And the request is a zone change from this zoning, RS 6000, to RM 10A, which is residential multifamily, 10 units per acre maximum density. And you'll notice the size of the site's 0.5 acres. So that would give you half of that density, which is 5 units, which is what the applicant's proposing. And this is vicinity map again showing Kachina Village. This is the property. You can see the RS 6000 zone around it. There's some RS4 over here and some RS10. There is some other RM10A in Kachina Village. There is some that's scattered out, some multifamily. This area, you can see some over here, not too far away. You can see some here. This actually is part of the park, so it's not really used as multifamily. And down in this area, down by the store, down there by the Pick and Run, there is some more RS 10,000. RM10A. Some of it's developed and some of it isn't developed. This is an aerial photo showing the subject property. Again, a lot of trees in Kachina, but you can still see the roofing area. And this over here is a parking area. So it's right here on the corner of Birch Spring and Kona Trail. And some background on this is that it was a fire station in the Highlands Fire District. And once they opened up that new station over on Mountain Air, I believe that's when this closed down. It was purchased by the applicant and the property owner in 2018. And it's in the RS 6000 zone. So they bought a building in that zone, and they were allowed by right to put in a single family residence and an attached ADU. So it has two units in the building already. Then a couple of years ago, I believe it was about 2 years ago, maybe a little longer, we all remember the big snowstorm that came through. So it landed on the roof of the 4-bay garage of this old fire station, and it collapsed, it totally fell in. So the applicant, as they thought about rebuilding it, they thought it would be a good way to add some additional units and possibly go, since it's a very big building. And the garage was not really used for much. I mean, there's not a lot you can do with a big, 4-bay garage like that. So they thought about adding some additional units to it. So it'd be 3 additional units for a total of 5. And this is the site plan showing how they would develop it. You can see the 3 additional units here, and I apologize, I don't remember exactly, and I can't read this, but I believe the other units are in this area. There's the ADU, which would be just a unit, and then the primary, which would be another unit. And conveniently, they do have parking because the old fire station had parking, so they have enough parking. You're required to have 2 parking spaces per unit in this zone. They have 10.
Actually, Bob, their parking calculations on this drawing says that they have.
More somewhere else?
This says they have 11. Right. It says
maybe a note
to include the one additional space that's required by the code for 10% guest parking.
Okay. Not sure where that is.
It's right there on the drawing under parking calculations on the left-hand side of the drawing.
Okay. I'm trying to see where it is on the site, but we'll work that out. Anyway, these are the elevations, and as some commissioners know, for a DRO, this is a design review as well, because multifamily requires a design review. But since the building's already up and it's already got color on it, they don't intend to change the color. We didn't require them to use color on these elevations. But I'll show you some pictures of the building. This is the building. This is conveniently shows you when the roof collapsed. So this whole thing just kind of came in and collapsed. And you can see this color that's on the building. They want to keep using that color. And I'll, of course, get some better pictures of this. It shows the color better. And you can also see that they have a lot of landscaping. Multifamily zones require landscaping. It looks like they will have adequate landscaping for the standards. And then this is another picture from the other side of the building. And with that, are there any questions for the commission? Commissioner Best?
In chorus, Post Tower, is that consistent with building heights? They're just going to leave it there? What's up with that?
I'll have to, let's see. It's a good point. The building height in this zone is 35 feet, and actually, I'm not sure what it is in the RM10A zone. But we'll definitely check that to make sure. 35 feet is pretty tall. So
yeah, it kind of sticks out in a residential area unless it's a firehouse. So interesting to see what the plan is for that. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a creative kind of reuse of a firehouse in some ways.
Yeah, and am I correct that it's grandfathered in, correct, Mr. Short?
Yeah, the structure I would say is grandfathered in, but I think it's probably less. It's probably, I mean, if you look at this picture, it's probably around 35 feet or less. It's hard to say, but that gets up there pretty far, So
That's just a question.
now, new construction wouldn't be grandfathered in, so that's another consideration.
Are there any other commissioners with any questions? All right, I'm not seeing any. Let's go ahead and move on to the next.
Okay, commissioners, this is the Gustafson accessory structure over 3,000 square feet. It's CP 2514. This is also going to be Zach Schwartz's case next month. This is a vicinity map showing the subject property in Fort Valley, Vaderville area. You can see Highway 180 up here, and that commercial areas along the highway right where you go up to Sunbowl, the road up to Sunbowl. So this is the property out in here. It's in the RR2 zone. And in the RR2, it's a 2-acre parcel. In the R2 zone, it does require a conditional use permit for these larger buildings. So this is the details of the proposal. It would house vehicles, livestock, animals, 4-H related materials, trailers. The applicant was telling me that some of these things are currently stored outside, and he would like to get them inside, out of view. The design, it's actually a 50 by 100 building, so it's a pretty large building. I mean, that's the size of a city lot, so it's pretty large. But this is 2 acres, and 2 acres is over 80,000 square feet. It is basic. It's 20 foot tall, and it's basically an engineered metal building. This is a site plan showing where it would be located. This is the house on the property. The street is out here. I believe it's on an easement. And this is where the garage would go. You can tell it. This is a pretty good sized property, so it's it's fairly small compared to the rest of the property, but a pretty big building as well. And this is, I believe this comes from the manufacturer. It shows some renditions of how the building would look. It is 20 feet tall right there. And this is the proposed roof color and the proposed wall color. And remember, this is not subject to DRO standards, to design review standards, because it's actually a CUP for a large building. It's not really related to the design standards. Some staff considerations, probably some minimal visual impacts, and also we haven't really received any opposing comments at this point. With that, any questions from the commission?
Commissioner Best.
Can we, in fact, condition the color?
I think you probably, yeah, you could. I mean, it's a CUP. So I think the consideration in this case is the building and how the building appears. You know, it's a larger building. So I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that.
But the condition would need to be completely tied to an impact. You know,
Right.
This is residential zoning. If this were on 10 acres in the G zone, they could just build it by right. On the smaller rural zones, it does require a conditional use permit to do the accessory structure greater than 3,000 square feet. So if there is an impact, obviously, you know, one of the reasons that CUPs are required for this size of building is because of the visual impact. So if there were to be a condition for the color, that would need to be directly tied to what is the impact that necessitates conditioning a color. I would point out, though, that obviously there's, you know, you purchase a building kit like this from a metal building manufacturer, they probably only have certain colors available. So that would probably be something to discuss with the applicant in the public hearing.
But
Right. Yeah.
I would point
Visual
out, though, that
impact.
were this a commercial development in the Fort Valley area, the Fort Valley area does have design standards for commercial development. Were this a commercial development and going through a DRO, what's presented as colors would in fact meet the DRO standards as earth tone colors. So I would point that out.
Black is an earth tone.
It's slate. It's actually, yeah, it's slate. No, it's charcoal. I'm sorry.
Charcoal.
Charcoal.
No, that's black. Okay, so visual impact would be conditionable.
If you can, Commissioner Best, basically the commission has to determine that it meets the findings for a CUP. So look at the findings. If you see one that, I mean, they do relate to like impacts to the neighborhood, the location, those kinds of things. So it's possible. I think the commission might be able to look at the findings and determine that color might be something they could look at.
Okay, well, maybe you could have legal take a look at it if there's a interpretation question.
And they
Because
have provided, they did provide us with a sheet that showed several different colors available for this building.
I would be looking for something that fit into the surrounding ecology there. You know, the roof looks like brown grass, black doesn't look like anything, and would stand out. I doubt there are any black houses out there. So if there are other colors available, maybe the applicant could consider those.
Thank you, Commissioner Best.
Commissioner Berger.
I guess my only question is going behind Sat, just in case we get a question, are there any other buildings that have large areas that are in this dark color in the surrounding areas at all?
Mr. Berger, I'm not aware of any. This has required a conditional use permit in buildings basically over 3,000 square feet. In this zone, this is the rural residential zone. They have required a conditional use permit for quite some time. I'm not aware of any. There may be some out here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have another commissioner and I cannot read the whole name. All I see is commission. So, last commissioner with the hand up.
This is Sheila. Hi.
Okay, Commissioner Walsh, ask your
Two
question.
things. I'm guessing that this rendition that's on our screen is just an example and is not going to be the actual color. And number two, off Bader Road, there's properties with metal buildings on them that are red. So I am not sure why we're spending a lot of time on earth tones. If they want to share what the earth tone is they choose at our meeting next week, that'd be great. That's all. Thanks.
And Commissioner
Okay.
Walsh make a good point that there isn't any kind of design review out here, right? I mean, unless you get to these really large buildings in this residential zone, right? So you can paint your house red or whatever color you would like, purple, but when you get to these buildings over 3,000 square feet, then they require that conditional use permit.
Mr. Short, could you just, I guess, to alleviate, can you provide, when we come to hearing next month, can you provide some pictures of just the surrounding area so that we're not just looking at the site, but so that the rest of the commissioners can see what the neighboring properties look like? I think that'll help paint a picture.
Madam Chair, that's a really good point. I generally try to take pictures, but I will definitely try to take more pictures in that area in general, just to show what there is out there. To show how does it fit with the neighborhood? That's one of the considerations in the findings. Is this the appropriate location for it? So.
Yeah, that would be great if you could provide those at the hearing. Okay, Commissioner Leslie.
Thank you. Has there been any public comment against either the building itself and or color selection that we know of?
Commissioner Leslie, they did have a citizen participation, neighborhood meeting, and the applicant reports that there wasn't anyone that expressed concern. So that's a good point.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, I'm not seeing any, so let's go ahead to the next agenda item. Administrative renewal.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And you should be seeing on your screen administrative renewal. We have 3 cases, CUP 25, 8, 12, and 16. All of those are eligible for administrative renewal. Do any of the commissioners have questions on any of these administrative renewals? Staff is not seeing any issue with administrative renewal on any of them. Okay.
I'm not seeing any hands raised, so let's take the next item.
Thank you. The next item, Community Development Department update, is all long-range planning projects. So Melissa Shaw, the long-range planner, is with us, and Melissa can discuss items 1 and 2, the Flagstaff Regional Plan update and the county's comprehensive plan update.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. And I think this is kind of an important week, busy week. On Friday, we are planning and hoping to see all of you at the City Hall for the joint retreat for the Flagstaff Regional Land Use Plan. So again, that's Friday, and I'm going to just share my screen. And we can take a quick look at the agenda and the packet. I know several of you have already contacted Shar and requested hard copies of the retreat packet. It is available also online if you prefer to just review it virtually. It's a couple hundred pages, so we're happy to print it, just so you know it is quite lengthy. And I thought we could just spend a moment kind of getting oriented, if you'd like, to this agenda and what's going on. So the first page is really the formal notice of posting that we have to do to let everybody know that you all may be together as a quorum, although this is not a session where you'll be actually voting on anything or making any decisions that way. So you can see that part of it. And then the actual, and the links in this version are not live right now, but this is the list of all of the attachments, the first one being the agenda for the retreat. So you might have already looked at this, but just to kind of remind everybody, 8:45 is just kind of getting settled, coming into the building, and then starting out with a welcome session and just some opening comments. So there'll be, a fair amount of time for group introductions and then some discussion points about what your expectations are for the session. And is this large enough to see before I continue? Is this good size for everybody to look at? Bigger?
Yes,
Okay.
I can see it.
Okay, we'll just make that bigger. So then there are a number of work sessions, as you can see. And the first one will focus on, well, there'll be a brief introduction into the process, how, a very short overview of how the regional plan was created, talk a bit about how the county uses the goals and policies in the plan, as well as how the city uses them, slight differences there. And then starting right in with work sessions and talking about after the 60-day review, the response to the 60-day review, how the plan was reorganized, and then there'll be an opportunity for public participation after that work session. So you can see that's built into the morning. And then there's a lunch break. Lunch will be there for you. And then getting right back into a work session at 12:30. So the afternoon work session will start out taking a fairly deep dive into the future growth illustration or the future land use map, if you want to think of it in those terms, how it's used, and a pretty in-depth description about how it happened to, how it was arrived at, and the whole public process, the scenario planning process that was engaged in order to come up with that map. And then there's some breaks built in throughout. There's some specific work sessions that are actually kind of interesting topics because a little bit of it might be interesting to the county commissioners that there is a specific trails map in the regional plan that does show alignments on properties, and there's some proposed changes for how the actual alignments are shown on some specific properties, mostly within the city, so it may not affect trail alignments outside of the city limits, but that is what that work session will be about. And then there'll be a final work session about creating a sense of place, and that's in response to comments from the 60-day review about essentially community character and how community character is addressed in the regional plan. So these will be interactive work sessions. You'll have an opportunity to comment on things and give some specific input that way. So that pretty much brings us to the end of the day. And this is the agenda that is posted. And then after that, it goes right into some specific background memos. So there is reading here, reading materials, but there are also maps and visuals. So if you wanted to scan through this, then the memos are fairly short and easy to look at. But it does, for instance, this list here is a very detailed list of things that were essentially removed and then how they were dealt with. And then I'll just scan through these really quickly just to give you an idea of what's in the packet. Again, a few specific details about organization of the plan. And then, it's very well organized in terms of following the topics on the agenda and then the background information. So I won't spend any more time on this, but I would like to just kind of show there are some maps in here. So this is that future growth illustration, and we'll be getting into some specifics about the differences between the current plan adopted in 2014, how it's changing this time, And then you'll have an opportunity to get up close with the map with sticky notes and pens and be able to make comments. So just back to then the beginning of the day on Friday, we're hoping to see all of you there, and wondered if you have any questions at this point about the retreat. It is at City Hall, and again, the reason for that was the Aquaplex was the original venue. That's undergoing a remodeling, which will not be completed in time. So, and that was kind of a last minute notice on that venue not being available. So in an effort to try to find a place that had all of the streaming, the wireless capabilities, plus bus service. So people that are coming in by bus from the public would have be able to get to this place. And if you go in here, then these links are live, but we also have the packet ready for any of you that want to take a look at it. Any questions on this on Friday's meetup?
I'm not
Okay, well,
seeing this.
thank you. Yeah, so the next topic on your study session agenda, of course, is the comprehensive plan. And oh, not that. I just did want to show also we have this all posted on the county's webpage. So it's a different scenario as far as posting, but it is being posted so the notice will be out there that you're meeting. I do have a very brief PowerPoint that I can share with you. Let me see if I can share it this way. Yeah. So we'll just start out. We wanted to talk a bit about the comprehensive plan and the regional plan schedules, because for the comprehensive plan, we are getting ready to begin the 60-day public review. And this postcard will be getting mailed out to unincorporated parts of the county, and we have a whole lot of other avenues that will be promoting this. So the 60-day review for the county's updated comprehensive plan will start May 19th and go through July 18th. So we'll be doing several open houses. You can see listed here, a webinar. We'll have different opportunities for people to view the plan. Obviously, we'll be using our online tool, Conveo, where the plan will be posted throughout the entire 60 days for review and comment. And we'll be doing the traveling around for these different open houses. So this is getting in production, and we're excited to let you know that this phase is starting for the county's process. And then after that, of course, are public hearings. So just to kind of tie these together, and this is a tentative idea of when public hearings may occur. I was on a webinar earlier today and learned about the general plan and comprehensive plan updates that are going on in Southern Arizona, Pima County, City of Tucson, Suarita. Heard from Prescott, the town of Prescott, and the general, I guess, thought is that always plan for a little bit more time than you think you may need. So, but this is our tentative schedule. There may be some leapfrogging that we need to do to keep the public hearings reasonably paced in order to not overwhelm people with information. So, for the comprehensive plan, if the 60-day review goes smoothly and ends in July, and depending on the comments, we could begin public hearings with the Planning Commission in September, and then jump into Board of Supervisor hearing in October. Again, that does depend on a few things, but that is what we are currently looking at. And then how that times with the regional plan hearings. Again, it's a leapfrog right now. And again, this is what we would anticipate beginning public hearings with the commission in October, and then supervisors in December for the Flagstaff regional plan. Remember, the regional plan for city residents will be on a ballot measure. Right now, that ballot measure is intended to be out in May of 2026. So that's been updated a bit since the last time we reported to you. It was anticipated to be March of 2026. And then just for fun, because we like to talk about geography, again, the map of the county, just to get a sense of this. And this might be a little bit fuzzy to see, but these kind of coral colors are the planning areas, the area plans rather. And then of course we have a lot of the indigenous nations, public lands, and remember the private land in the county is all of 12% of the 12 million acres. So there's a lot more detail about this in the draft of the comprehensive plan, but this is always something I think you all know, but it's maybe always good to see the visual and to remember that the Flagstaff region encompasses this area in the purple outline. So there's a lot going on as far as, big long range planning projects, and here to answer any questions for you. I'll go back to, I know you're all excited about the 60-day public review for the comprehensive plan. I can sense it. I can sense the excitement building.
Can, huh?
I can. I'll turn my camera on just to say hi. Okay. So yeah, any questions? And you can see by the open house schedule, you all are very much invited to all or as many of these as you wish to attend.
Does
Is that all?
anybody, yeah, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Shaw? Okay, Commissioner Best.
Did Aldo make it?
I'm sorry?
Did Aldo make it?
Aldo? Aldo will make it.
Excellent. All right, that's all I need to know.
Would you like to explain that reference for everybody?
Aldo Leopold is on the current page 4 of the comprehensive plan with a sense and a value that the natural world of Coconino County, the plants and the animals and the landforms are part of our community. It's not just us. It's all of us, all the creatures, all the plants, all the landforms, and us. And that to me is the most important page in the whole thing.
And I guess for further reference, it's from Sand County Almanac. There was a quote in the current comprehensive plan from that book.
Yeah.
Can't guarantee it'll be on page 4.
I think did he start the Forest Service? Forget exactly what jobs he had, but he was an early person who worked in the forest, on the forest, and valued it. That's good news, thanks. That's all I care about. Not true, but thank you. And thank you for doing both of these at once, Melissa. I mean, you get a round of applause.
Well, why don't you wait until you see it?
That too. But it's really, it's not a small job to do either one, and keeping track of both is great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, if there's no more questions for Ms. Shaw, then it doesn't look like there's anything on the Board of Supervisors update, but Jess, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Burton. Board of Supervisors update. There have not been any Board of Supervisor hearings on your items since your last hearing last month, nor do we anticipate any. We don't have anything scheduled for the Board of Supervisors in the way of hearings until your meeting next month. As you all know, last week you did a work session with the Board of Supervisors on the long range planning projects, and of course this Friday is the joint retreat we've talked about. So no other issues with the Board of Supervisors. Any questions from the commissioners regarding Board of Supervisors?
Commissioner Best.
Yeah, I read about the upgraded plan for Fort Tuthill, which I think was passed by the supervisors. Did we ever see that? I mean, we haven't seen that in years, have we? So that didn't come through. It seems like at one point it came through us quite some years ago.
Correct. So this is where planners get to be really nerdy and detailed. But what came to you was their master plan as required for their conditional use permit for the park. And there have been some updates to the master plan that was associated with their conditional use permit. This update to the Fort Tuthill master plan is more of an operational master plan for Fort Tuthill, but there's no changes to the land use, so to speak, that would need to come back to you all. I'm a little familiar with it. I heard some of Cynthia Nemeth's, the Parks and Rec director's presentation on it. So it's adding some more amenities, but that fit within their existing plan. And of course, the county does have an appointed Parks and Recreation Commission, your equivalents over with Parks and Rec, and the Parks and Rec Commission obviously did work sessions and recommended approval of this update to the Fort Tuthill plan, and as it went to the Board of Supervisors. So really, what was approved really wasn't under your purview as the Planning and Zoning Commission under the zoning ordinance. However, if you would like a brief on it, I'm sure we could get some of the Parks and Rec staff to come over and maybe give you a summary of what all got updated in their plan.
You know, there was a pretty good article in the paper if anyone's interested, but it sounds like we would only see an amendment to the master plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I get you. Okay. I was just curious. If anyone else is interested, I'd love to hear about it, but I think it was in yesterday's paper. So if you're interested, you can read it in the Daily Sun. Thank you.
All right, that kind of migrated us into the commission and staff roundtable. So is there anything else for roundtable?
Chair Burton, I would like to bring up that we received a message from John Ruggles today. You all are aware that John had to resign from the Planning and Zoning Commission. He really regretted doing so and wanted to express his thanks for all of the efforts of you all as his peers on the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I know we will all miss John. So he did want to pass on that the reason for his resignation was some continuing health issues that he's been going through past couple of years, actually. So we will miss John. If you all would like to, please reach out to him individually. I think he's always down for a cup of coffee. And the Board of Supervisors did discuss trying to recognize, setting aside a time to recognize John and thank him for his service on the Planning and Zoning Commission at one of their hearings. So we've asked John when would be a good time for that aligns with a Board of Supervisors hearing. Once we know when the board will give that recognition, we will let you know so that you could be present if you would like to for that recognition.
All right. Is there anything else for roundtable? Not seeing anything from commissioners. So Jess, if we're ready for a quick break before we jump in at 5:30.
Absolutely, Madam Chair.
All
We
right.
can take a break and we will see everyone back here at 5:30.
All right. Mr. McNeely? Are we ready to get started? It is 5:30.
Good evening, Chair Burton. Yes, staff is ready for your public hearing.
Okay, so calling the meeting to order. It's 5:30. Welcome to the April 30th, 2025 meeting of the Coconino County Planning and Zoning Commission. Following the cases will be heard in the order they appear on the agenda. Following the staff presentation, the applicant and/or the applicant's representative may address the commission. As an applicant, if you agree with the staff report and have no additional information, please feel free to keep your comments brief. Any relevant comments are welcome. Following the applicant's presentation, I will make a call to the public. If you wish to address this case, please state your name and address. We ask that your comments be limited to 3 minutes or less. Comments must be relevant to the case. Please address all comments to the commission. No matter how strongly you may feel about the case, all comments must be respectful. After all interested public have spoken, the public comment portion will be closed. Discussion will then take place amongst commissioners. Decisions of this commission regarding any zone change or preliminary subdivision plat approval are referred to the Board of Supervisors as a recommendation. All other case decisions are binding unless appealed to the Board of Supervisors. If you disagree with the commission's decision, you have 15 days to appeal. Please contact the Community Development Office for official procedures. Due to the virtual nature of this meeting, I'll be doing a roll call vote of the commissioners to ensure accuracy for the record. We ask that you please mute your speakers and turn off your camera. Additionally, the message function of this platform is for communicating technical difficulties only. It is not for case discussion. Thank you for joining us this evening and actively participating in our county planning. Okay, Mr. McNeely, I do just want to confirm that we do have a quorum. So let's see, we have Commissioner Berger.
Yeah.
Right, I'm checking down my list real quick so I know who's here.
Okay.
Best, Commissioner Leslie, Hayward, I did see. Williams, Walsh. Is Vice Chair Wilson with us?
So, Madam Chair, Vice Chair Wilson is not with us.
Okay.
So he is the only one of the commissioners
Only one.
who is missing right now.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Let's go to the first item on the agenda, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. McNeely, will you please lead us?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair. If you could join us, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, Chair Burton.
Okay. All right. The second item on the agenda is the approval of the March 26, 2025 minutes. If we have no comments or corrections, then I need a motion for approval. Anybody?
I'll do the first motion for approval.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Berger.
I'll second.
All right. And a second by Commissioner Best. All those in favor, Commissioner Tohi.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Walsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Best.
Aye.
Commissioner Berger.
Aye.
Commissioner Leslie.
Aye.
Commissioner Hayward.
Aye.
Okay, this is Chair Burton. I also vote aye. Motion passes. Okay, third item on the agenda is a call to the public for items not on the agenda. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to address the commission for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will go to the next item on the agenda, which is our public hearing portion. It looks like we only have one case this evening, case number CUP-25-11, a request for an equine therapy center. Staff, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. This case is the Hoofprints Equine Therapy. That's CUP 2511. And in this case, the property owners are Douglas and Abigail Joseph of Williams, Arizona. The applicant is Abigail Joseph of Williams. Location of the property is at 258 and 282 South Sierra Drive in Valley. The zoning is AR1. The site size is 2 parcels totaling 2 acres. The request is for a CUP for equine therapy, and in our zoning ordinance that is defined as equestrian centers, stables, and riding academies. This is a vicinity map showing the subject property. It is kind of in the center of Valley, around where a lot of the development is, and also we're close to the commercial center right there. And this is an aerial photo showing the property on Sierra Drive. You can see there are 2 parcels. This one contains a house built by the applicants, and right in here is a little building, a little office building with the restroom. And on the other parcel, basically, there's just the riding, the little riding area right here for the equine therapy. So this is the proposal. It is kind of a couple of things: equine assisted learning, which is described as horsemanship skills, grooming, applying principles to everyday life, and also equine therapy. The applicant would start with 2 to 3 clients a week, and that could grow to as many as 10 to 15 clients, possibly. The operating hours would be 8 to 2 p.m. from Friday to Sunday, and that would be during the best weather months from April to October. There is office space, as I said, and restrooms located in the office on the site. There would be a parking area out front on one of the lots that would also have like a picnic table where people could sit and wait for their therapy. This is a site plan showing the site. So you see the horse round pen here where the equine therapy would take place, and the other events. Would be some parking along the frontage here of Sierra Drive and an area for waiting. And then right in here is that little office building with the restroom. So some photos of the site. Very snowy day when we went out there. And you can see this little office building back here they would use behind the house. And this is the other lot. You can see the fence down between the 2 lots, and back in here would be the little riding arena area. The applicant held a neighborhood meeting on April 12th, 2025. 8 neighbors provided comments, all in support of the project. They have a pretty thorough description of what happened in the packet. So this is some staff analysis. Although this is not being processed as the cottage industry because it is a use that's defined in the code. So there was no need to call it that. Both the comprehensive plan and the Valley area plan both do support cottage industries, which is similar to this use. Equine therapy, this kind of equine therapy would involve fewer horses than would be allowed on 2 acres. On 2 acres like this, you would be allowed, actually, I think actually 6 horses. Yeah, so each acre would be allowed to have 3 horses. So that would be quite a bit of impact. I believe they aren't going to have any more than 2 horses. It wouldn't have significant impacts on the neighbors, and the neighbors support the proposal, and of course it provides benefits to a community. These are the findings of fact for a conditional use permit. They have been all addressed in the staff report. And with that, staff recommends approval of CUP 2511 with the recommended conditions. And with that, are there any questions from the commission?
Going once, going twice, not seeing any. Okay, so let's go ahead and check in with the applicant. Does the applicant or their representative wish to make any additional comments?
So this is Doug Joseph standing in for Abigail. I don't have any further comments. Thank you, Bob, for a great presentation.
Okay.
This is Abby Joseph. Yes, no additional comments, and thank you, Bob, as well. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to address the commission on this case? All right, seeing none, I'm gonna close it to the public and open it to commission discussion. Commissioner Tohi?
Good afternoon or evening. Thank you for this time. I don't have any questions or any concerns, so I make the findings. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Walsh?
I can make the findings. Thank you.
Commissioner Williams?
I also can make the findings.
Okay, Commissioner Best?
I can make the findings enthusiastically. Good on the applicant for having great relations with the neighbors. I've got a little bit of experience with this sort of thing, and I think it's really a great addition to the community. So I can make the findings.
Okay. Commissioner Berger?
I can make the findings, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Leslie?
I can make the findings as well.
Commissioner Hayward?
I can also make the findings, and to Mr. and Mrs. Joseph, this is, yeah, like Sat said, this is a lovely thing you're doing, so really appreciate it.
All right, this is Chair Burton. I concur with all the comments previously made by my fellow commissioners. So if there's no further discussion, then I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move that we approve CUP 25-001.
I second.
Okay, who was the second?
Commissioner Walsh, thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, so I have a motion by Commissioner Williams and a second by Commissioner Walsh. All those in favor, Commissioner Tohi?
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Best?
Aye.
Commissioner Berger?
Aye.
Commissioner Leslie?
Aye.
Commissioner Hayward?
Aye.
And this is Chair Burton. I also vote aye, and the case motion passes. All right. Last item on the agenda is another call to the public for items not on the agenda. Is there anyone who wishes to address the commission for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, it is 5:43, and we will call the meeting to a close. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
See you on Friday.
Good night.
Good night.